Hey, Pop Culture Pals. I'm here with a new What Sold video. It's been a little while since I did one of these. I took a look at what we've sold over the past 90 days and picked out a few items, our best selling item, and a few other items that didn't sell for what I hoped, and also some items that you might be able to find in your travels or tips that will help you increase your sales each month. We're going to start with kind of a rare item, but this is the thing we really specialize in, which is pop culture TV movie related memorabilia. I would sell nothing but that if I had the option. Obviously, it's not easy to come by. In this case, this was a set of Babylon 5 scripts that were published professionally some years back. This auction was actually for four scripts for these books. It appears like it's only one, but there were actually four, and it sold for $160. I think we did take an offer on it, so it actually might have come in closer to 140 plus an additional 40 ground shipping. I don't mail collectible books media mail. They're not insured, and I just would rather get it in somebody's hands and pay a little bit extra. I think that's important when you're dealing with collectibles. So I picked these books up from Shop Goodwill. If you've been with me for a while, you know I do a lot of my shopping online. Someone had donated their Babylon 5 script collection to Shop Goodwill. It was actually listed in several auctions, and I won all of them, scooping up all the books. No one bid against me. I was surprised no one else wanted me, I believe. And yeah, I got them all. And because I got them all, shipping was better because they did combine shipping on a lot of it, which sometimes, if you ever work with Shop Goodwill, shipping is high because they also charge handling charges and all of that. Anyway, this was a great item. We were really excited to have it. We were excited to look at it or for ourselves when we, for a while, read the scripts and then pass them along to another collector. Very quickly, we sold all of the books that I had bought. I believe they went to two different people, but again, it's been a little while since we sold them. And they were our highest selling, our most probably, I don't know if I'm going to say it's our most profitable item because I did pay up for them. I probably paid in the neighborhood of $15 to $20 per book because of the shipping to get them. So it was the most money we made on an item, but not the most profitable. That's a real distinction. The next item is this Galaxy's Edge Droid Depot R2D2 series. So this is a remote control droid that you can only get at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland. This is the ones that you custom make. You go to the Droid Depot and you pick the body, the coloring, and the personality chip to put in it. That little box you see in the front is the personality chip. This particular piece also had the custom backpack. That bag is designed where you can carry your robot on your back through the park. And if he's turned on, he'll actually react to other robots and things in the park. It's pretty cool. And of course, the remote control. So he was complete. He worked. I have to say, figuring out how to make him work, thank God for the internet because I was very confused about how to make him work, but figured it out. Fantastic. Now, I bought this at a Whatnot auction, and I'll be perfectly honest, I bought it thinking that my son would want it. He's a Star Wars fan, but he wasn't as excited about it as I thought he would be. So we decided to flip it after playing with it for a little bit. And I thought it was going to go for a lot of money. These things are not cheap, and a little bit of it depends, I guess, on how you customize them at Droid Depot. But you know, they have to be at least a couple $100 when you buy them at the park, and you can only get them at the park, other than buying them secondhand. So I really thought I was looking at a several $100 flip here. I paid. It's been a while. I want to say around $30 on Whatnot for it. It was definitely less than 50. I would not have paid more than 50 because at the time we weren't sure that it worked. And when I first got it, I didn't realize there were a bunch of pockets in the bag and thought for a while too that we didn't have the remote control. And then the chip was just a extra piece that came along and it was a nice surprise. Anyway, so with what I paid, again, This was the second highest priced item that we sold in the last 90 days, but it was definitely not the most profitable since I had probably close to $50 invested in it. And I'm not even sure the 28 covered the shipping. The problem here was I had it listed at a much higher price. And I was surprised that we just couldn't get any bites. No one was interested. And we went all the way down into the $100 range. I think in the end we took an offer even a little bit under the 100. I made a profit on it, but like I said, definitely not what I thought I was going to make. This is me breaking my own rule. I do not buy very much Star Wars or Marvel unless it is an item that came directly from Disneyland. Mostly just because there's so much of it online that it's really hard to stand out when you're one of 100 other people who have a Star Wars item. So I would say don't invest in Star Wars unless you're a Star Wars fan. Um, but don't automatically assume because something is expensive at the park that it'll resale for good money, because it's not always the case. Now we have one that was a surprise. I wanted to show you this because this one blew my mind. So I really love the tumbler plastic cup row in my local Savers. So not the mugs. I do not even look at mugs or glassware because I cannot deal with storing it, shipping it. No. But I do like the plastic section. This is where all of the fancy tumblers, the Stanleys and all those things go. I mostly look for interesting Starbucks cups. And again, because we are near Disney, we do find quite a few Disneyland um, mugs, cups. Again, we're going to put tumblers in that section. So that's mostly what I'm looking for. I was digging through the other day and found this. Now, it caught my eye because at a glance, I thought it was Haunted Mansion. I am a huge collector of Haunted Mansion items. I scooped it up instantly. I mean, if you're a Haunted Mansion person, just look at this thing. That exact shade of purple, that pattern, not the skull, but the pattern around is so reminiscent of the wallpaper. I I can't imagine that this company that made this wasn't channeling Haunted Mansion when they made this. So I grabbed it for that reason. I just thought it was so Haunted Mansion like that I needed it. And it was marked, I want to say Savers, it was probably in the $6, $7 range. Um, our Savers, again, Savers is not cheap by comparison to other thrift stores, but I always have a discount coupon. Somewhere in here, I might have a video of when I bought it, and I would probably have the more exact price if you're really interested. But uh, I definitely wouldn't have paid more than $8 for it. So it was under that price. Now, here's the thing. I get this thing home and I look it up because there's a name on the bottom, Brewmate Risa. And it turns out that it is a limited edition Halloween tumbler from last year called the Violet Veil. And it sells for a ridiculous amount of money. Now, we didn't sell it for a ridiculous amount of money, but if you had this thing brand new for resale, people were getting up into the $100 range, $80 to $100 for this thing. And my understanding from this company is, again, that's what these things cost when they put them out. And their limited editions go quick. People are very loyal to this brand. I'd never heard of it before. Apparently, it's got some kind of special way the cup and the straw works. I don't know. There was something special about it. I don't remember what it was. But so cool. Again, look there. Does that not look like Haunted Mansion wallpaper or what? So because it definitely was used, it was in good condition, but it did have a few marks on it. And so I brought it in at $40, which was again about $20 to $40 less than everybody else was selling it. And it sold not really quickly, but within, I'd say, a month, uh, it went. And I'm glad to see it go to a good home of somebody who loves this brand. I was very tempted to keep it, very tempted. So look for this brand. I said I'd never heard of it before. Very hefty, very, very chunky, lots of weight when you pick it up. Rubbery top, that straw, all of it. But the name is clearly on the bottom. I don't know if I got, there you go. See, Brewmate. So that's what it looks like. Yeah, great brand. Pick it up. You see it. This one, this one I can't even. Almost didn't include it, but then I thought I'm going to because this is a lesson. Oh, this one hurts so much. This is a huge box of Build-A-Bear clothing. And I just realized now I love that when we took the picture, there's a glass and some towels in the picture as well, but those weren't included. The backstory on this is this. Years ago, I do mean years, early on, when I first started using Whatnot, a seller had, I don't even know, tubs and tubs of Build-A-Bear clothing that they'd gotten from a storage unit, a storage locker sale. A lot of it was brand new, still on the card, still with its tags. It was an insane amount of clothing. At the time, a couple of years ago, we were selling a lot of Build-A-Bear. Anytime I could get my hands on it at an estate sale, at a thrift store, I would buy it and it would flip for good money. Single outfits. I would just put together one, here's the top, here's the bottom, here's the cheerleader outfit, here's the little Santa costume, here's the Hannah Montana outfit. Could sell it all individually for 10, 15, $20 a pop. No trouble. So I bid up and got a couple of lots from this seller. I didn't get everything, but I bought quite a bit. I think he started selling it in smaller lots and then he got tired of it and just said, who wants to just pay for the rest of it? And I bought it all. And again, it's been a couple of years. I paid at least $50, may have paid close to $100 once we were through with shipping and everything for this lot. Definitely not more than 100. So I had it all. And at the beginning, we sold certain items. I said certain outfits individually. We sold some small groupings, and they were selling pretty well. We were good. And so the upside is we made our money back on these, and we made profit, no question in my mind. But around a year ago, they just stopped selling, and I don't know. If somebody can tell me, did Build-A-Bear, is it no longer in vogue? Do people not care about Build-A-Bear anymore? Have they, I know that the company's gone through some changes. Maybe it just isn't as hot as it used to be. Maybe it's just too available. I don't know. But we, I started like taking down, so it initially it wasn't like this, like not like you see it here. It was small groupings. And there was a ton of shoes, a ton of roller skates, shoes, accessories, everything. I started making bigger and bigger groupings, all these costumes together, all these cute, you know, teen girl clothes together, sports clothes together. And we moved, one or two more lots over months, but we just could not move the last of it. And when I say the last of it, you can see here, we're talking about 23 pieces and 13 pairs of shoes, and plus a few more things. There was some hangers and bows and a few other items. So one day I just said, I can't hang, I'm tired. I'm just tired of looking at it. And eBay just is not showing it to anyone anymore. Like it had just reached that cliff with eBay where they said, clearly nobody wants this stuff. So you can list it any way you want. We're not showing it to people. So I threw it all into a big priority mailbox and tried to sell it as one big lot. And we tried to sell it for $50, which I thought was an amazing price. No. $40. No. Down to $29.99. $15.99 shipping because it was going big box. Box weighed several pounds because of all the shoes. Again, if it just been the clothing, I would have been smarter to just sell the clothing and donate the shoes. But, we live and learn. And it says good pre-owned condition, some marks from play. There was one item that was a single shoe. It's very clear in the listing that there's a single shoe. I'm not, look at cute. Look at this stuff. Beautiful, beautiful clothes. Look at that whole outfit there. So many pieces. We got an offer for like $20 after I finally dropped to $29.99. They offered us $20. We had 15 shipping, and I said to my husband, "Oh my God, I'm so over this Build-A-Bear. Just take the offer. Just take the offer and sell it." So the minute we took the offer, I regretted it already just because I thought, oh, this just $20 for all of this is crazy. We were getting $20 per outfit originally, but said, okay, enough is enough. So we accept the offer. It sells. The person pays for it. Sometimes that never happens. Oh, they didn't pay right away. Actually, it took a little while. And then we get a message, and it says, "I noticed there's only one shoe. This of one shoe. There's like not a pair. There's only a single. So can you find the other shoe?" And of course, we write back and say, "Well, no, I make it very clear in the listing. This is a single. And I know, maybe you have another somewhere else. If you don't, throw it out, whatever. But it's very clear in the listing that it's a single." And I loved the way it was phrased, made me feel like, oh, okay, let me go look for it. Like I hadn't already looked for it. Like I would have listed it that way and then went, oh, yeah, I have the other shoe. I just didn't tell you. So I should have known at that point what this was going to be. We packed the box up. It weighed way more than I expected it to weigh. And don't you know, it was going to Florida, to the most southern tip of the United States from I'm in California. So it was the furthest it could possibly go. And the $15.99 we charged for shipping didn't even cover it. So we ended up paying closer to the $20 for shipping, which means we made $15 minus fees. So in the end, we were probably making a profit of about $10 on all of this, which again, $10, my husband says, is $10 better than just dropping it all off at Goodwill, which I could have done or at Savers. We mail it out. And I'm done. I'm finished. Doesn't matter. It's gone. I tried to wipe it from my brain. I regretted selling it, but too late. A week later, we get a message from the person who bought it saying that one of the shoes, which had a little bit of silver along the side, I don't know if there's a picture, one of these little shoes has like silver around the edge. Like, see that sketcher at the top? See the silver? The silver was like peeled off a little bit at the back of the shoe. And she wrote, very unhappy, and she said, I want a refund because this shoe is damaged. Now you can see it says good pre-owned condition, some marks from play. We note in the listing that there's, it's played with. A lot of the items weren't. A lot of the items were brand new. Most of them absolutely perfect. She found the one shoe that had a little bit of a problem, and I do mean a little bit of a problem. Those little purple shoes, they light up. They still light up. The roller skates are not broken. All of this stuff. And she complained about the one shoe she wanted a refund. And I said this, I was so annoyed at that point. Now this is where you shouldn't let your personal feelings get in the way, but they did. And I said, look, if you're not happy, we don't normally take returns, but if you are not happy with everything, you can mail it back to us and we'll take it back and we'll refund your money. Not the shipping, you'll lose your shipping, the return shipping, but you'll get the rest of your money back. And then it became this big sob story about how she didn't actually live in the United States, so it's impossible for her to mail the package back. Now, I don't know if someone wants to correct me on this. She said she lived in Brazil or someplace, I believe Peru or someplace, I don't even know, someplace in South America. I'm sure they have post offices in South America. I'm sure you could turn around and mail this. I think the problem was that she was using a mail forwarding service in Florida so that she didn't have to deal with international shipping. It just went to Florida and then that person forwarded it to her so she could avoid customs fees or something, which made me think, you wanted to do it the sneaky way. eBay has international shipping. We could have shipped it right to you. Yes, you would have paid a little bit more, but you wanted to be sneaky about it now. Okay, then you can't return it. And When that didn't work, she opened a item not received case against us, saying she never got the package. And at that point, of course, we had to call eBay, and eBay could see from her messages she had photographs of the items. She was showing us what was wrong with it, and even the girl on the eBay girl laughed. She was like, "Yeah, well, I guess she got it since she's sending you photos of it." So they took care of it. I think in the end they actually gave her her money back, which really aggravates me. But it did not come out of our pocket. But that means the person got to keep everything and got their money back, which I don't think that's fair, but like I said, at least they didn't take it from us. They, denied the claim. They did not allow, I want to say in the end, I think she gave us bad feedback still too, and I think they got rid of that. But the irony of it all is, which I should have just, I think I said to her at one point, if you want a refund for that one item, this was 36 items divided by what you paid. Your refund would be like 10 cents. Like, you want 10 cents back? So aggravating. So the lesson here, that was a longer story that I meant to tell. The lesson here is Build-A-Bear just don't sell anymore. Maybe you have a different experience with it. I have to slap my hands and not buy any more Build-A-Bear stuff. Done. Okay, now that's out of my system. Here's two lessons, shall we say, tips that you can take away with you. This is the first one. The 1987 Bullwinkle and Rocky and Bullwinkle Magic Hat Boink wall clock. This is a big wall clock, one of those big round plastic clocks goes on the wall. This design, it was particularly unusual. There's another Rocky and Bullwinkle clock that's a little bit more common. This one is from the 80s. And not like you're going to find Bullwinkle clocks every time you go out. And like I said, the other, if you find the other ones, they're actually not worth as much. This particular style is. The lesson here is something else. The lesson here is my husband has been a Bullwinkle collector since before we were married, but he's kind of moved away from it and honed his collecting into a few other things. And this was used to hang in our kitchen years and years and years ago. But for the last 10 or more years, 15 years, I don't even know how long, it's been sitting in a closet. And he went into the closet to get something up on a high shelf, and this thing sort of almost fell on him. And he thought, oh, this is silly. Why is this sitting in the closet? We don't use it anymore. I'm not that attached to it anymore. I wonder if it's worth anything. And we looked it up on eBay and saw that it was, they said, the rare design. And we put it up. It sold very quickly, I'd say within the week, even for there's some slight dings on it and everything, still sold for $68. We took an offer, we had it at 75, sold for $68 plus plenty of shipping to get it where it was going. So the moral of the story on this one is don't forget to shop your own closets, your basement, your garage, your attic, those items that you collected, the things you bought that aren't really what you were hoping they were going to be, the books, the movies, the things you just don't or aren't ever going to read, household decor items that just don't fit your room, your space, your aesthetic anymore. Look them up and sell them, because even if they sell for very little, why not? Why not make $5 instead of letting it sit and accumulate dust or take up space? Use the $5 to buy something you like. Take yourself, go buy a Starbucks if you want. But this one was particularly nice. Like I said, $68 that was sitting in the closet for years. The irony, of course, being if we had sold it years and years ago when we first put it in the closet, it probably wouldn't have been worth as much, um, because definitely has increased with age. But that's not always the case. Sometimes, there's a popularity era that then if you miss it, it goes back down again. Anyway, all right, last item. It's gone longer than I had expected. So this is another example. So this is a needlepoint hand painted canvas. This particular one was called Lee the Vamp. This is representative of a group of these that we found at Savers. I look not in the craft section where you would think this would be, but Savers has this basket underneath the journals and in the stationery supplies where they put like wrapping paper and posters. And I happened to look down there and saw needlepoint canvas, and I grabbed them because we have sold needlepoint canvases in the past for good money. And I pulled them out, and to most people, I'm sure they look like nothing. They're not in a package. They are literally just rolls of material with a picture painted on them. And Savers had them bundled in a group of, I think, like five for $3. Um, there were two bundles. And one of them said it was like a bundle of three or something, but it wasn't. One was missing or some, I don't know. There was like one loose one in this because people had taken them apart to look at what they were. The point was, in the end, there was about five of them. I was very excited to find them. I took them up to buy them, and I was a little worried because, like I said, one of them was not priced because it had been obviously pulled away from something else. And she said, "Oh, you know what? Just include it in the grouping you are buying. Just pay the $3 for like all of them, or $5, I think it was, for all of them." So that's what we paid. $5, about, we paid about a buck or two for each one, and then got them home and started looking them up. Now, some of these they weren't didn't even exist on eBay, but I looked them up. I used Google image search and found some of them have the actual name on the canvas itself. And so I looked them up online of what you'd have to pay. See, like that, there's an E on there. What you would have to pay to get these new, because some of them are still available new, and they were $100 or more each. All of the ones I found, or similar ones from the same artist. Needlepoint canvases that are hand painted like this are not cheap. They're very detailed and they're very expensive. And this is, again, just the canvas. There's no yarn, there's no nothing. We listed all of them. I think at the lowest price point was 50 and then going up to 84. This one actually sold for 79 after we took an offer, free shipping, but again, it's so light, shipping was $6. And yes, so when it comes to profit, this was not the most money we made, but it was by far the most profitable item in the last 90 days. An item that we paid in the neighborhood of less than $2 for, that we flipped for $79. And because we had multiple ones, it really helped eBay keep showing them to people. And we sold, at this point, I think every one of them has sold no less than $50, and the other ones in the $60 to $70 range. So what is that? We turned, even if you call it 50, 250, we turned a less than five, around $5, let's call it, price tag. We turned into $200 at the end in the flip. And I know these numbers are a little bit muddy, but again, it's been a little while since I bought them. And what actually happened with these was we went back the next day and found one more loose somewhere that either somebody had maybe moved. I don't know how we missed that one the first time around, and we're able to pick up one more. So I'm trying to combine all the prices and things in my head. So your tip here is hand painted needlepoint canvases. You'll know the hand painted ones. Like I said, they don't come in packaging. They're just like this, loose, and you'll tell them just from the quality of the work, the detail. Search them, use your Google search to Google image search to find them, and you'll see they almost always go for really great money, and like you can usually pick them up for a song. So that's what I have to show you this week. Those are our best sales and the lessons learned. Oh, that Build-A-Bear is gonna annoy me for some time to come. That's it. What did you sell this week? I would love to hear about your best sale, your most annoying sale, that item that you thought for sure was going to sell for a ton of money and didn't. Make me feel better about my Build-A-Bear lot. Tell me your, oh, it should have sold for more story.